Three, two, one. All right. What's up, you guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. I ended up not going to Mammoth this past weekend because the campsite got flooded because it was snowing in July. It's now July. Today's July 2nd. But it got snowed in, which was pretty shitty. So I ended up going to Joshua Tree for not even 24 hours. We drove up there. It took like 6 hours. It was ridiculous. We hit a bunch of traffic. And then we just stayed up all night and then drove back in the morning. We saw crazy stars, like the most stars I've ever... Oh, shit. The most stars I've ever seen in my life, which was insane. It was really cool. And then this morning, I went and saw the new Spider-Man. Not Homecoming. Spider-Man Far From Home. And I was going to see it last night on the premiere. But where I live, they weren't playing it at midnight or anything, which they normally do for like big films like that. So I don't know. I didn't feel like going to drive like 25 minutes to go see it and then come home at like 3 in the morning. So I went and saw it this morning at 9:45 a.m. And there's like me and like 4 or 5 other people in the theater. And yeah, that's what I'm doing with my life now, is seeing movies at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, because I don't know. That's just where I am in life. By myself. I went by myself. I forgot to add that part. See movies by myself at 9 a.m. in the morning on a Tuesday. At the movies, there's a trailer for... They have a new movie coming out. It's like a Bruce Springsteen movie. It's like based on a true story about how Bruce Springsteen impacted this guy's life and all this stuff. And dude, I feel like that's the new trend nowadays, is making movies about musicians. It started with Bohemian Rhapsody, which was like a huge hit, won all the awards and shit. I never even saw it, so I don't even know if it's good, but everybody that's seen it has said it was really good. And then they had the not Paul McCartney, what's his name, Elton John. They had the Elton John movie Rocket Man, which I heard it was like less biographical, I guess you could say, like Bohemian Rhapsody was. I heard it was like a musical, kind of like The Greatest Showman, which made me less inclined to see it because I don't want to go see a musical. If I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody, I wasn't going to go see Rocket Man. Maybe I'll see him one day if they're just like $3 or whatever. Maybe if they go on Netflix, I probably won't even spend money on them. But I saw the trailer for the Bruce Springsteen movie and I was like, okay, this is the new trend. And they also just came out with that other movie, the Beatles movie. They came out with that on Friday, called Yesterday, where everybody in the world forgets the Beatles, except for this one guy, and he rips all their songs and becomes like the biggest artist in the world or whatever. So now that's just like the theme now, is just taking all these old artists and just like revamping them into movies. Like the older generations are probably shitting their pants because they're so excited. And then the younger generations like being exposed to all these great new artists. Well, not new to them. But I was at the gym after, and they're fucking playing Brooks. They're playing Bruce Springsteen on the gym radio. So I go to 24 Hour Fitness, and they just play like 24-hour radio or whatever. And dude, they have the shittiest music ever. Like, if I don't bring my earphones to the gym, it's game over, dude. They had Bruce Springsteen on, and like I'm trying to get a workout in, and there's a guy on the TV wearing his cut off flannel dancing in the 80s, singing his not pump up songs. How are you supposed to get pumped up to that? And then they also play like country music all the time, and it's not like cool country music that you're like, okay, I could work out to this. I don't know. I mean, working out to country music's hard in general, but some of it I'm like, okay, I can rock with this. But it's depressing ass shit. I'm like, how am I supposed to work out to this? But yeah, the movie was sick. Spider-Man Far From Home. That movie was sick. It came out literally today, so I'm not gonna like talk much about it. But I mean, Endgame was long as shit. I saw that twice. Second time I was like, okay, kind of over it. And then now they just re-released it again to get more money and with like a minute or two extra longer. And which is, I don't know, I wouldn't sit through it for a third time unless like it's on Netflix like Infinity War is. But yeah, Spider-Man was really cool. I like what they did with it, like continuing the story. And then it's gonna be cool to see where it goes from here. But Tom Holland's fucking awesome. I love Tom Holland. But we're gonna talk about what everybody wants to hear about, The Bachelorette. Okay, so last night was in fucking saying. Insane, not insane. Insane. And so it's like, it's the playoffs. So they're trying to eliminate people because next week they're going to the hometowns, like the guys' houses. And I just got to keep track of time so I can start the camera because I still haven't figured it out. So, anyways, losing my chains of thought. Watching The Bachelor. So it's playoffs. They're trying to figure out who's going to go to hometowns. And the whole time you're like, okay, Luke P's going to go. Luke P's going to go. Because it's dragged on for so long. All the way until now. You're like, he has to leave. Like, there's no way they keep him on because it's so dragged out. And they're showing, like, in the trailers or the previews to this week, him, like, screaming at Garrett. And he's like, I don't know what you told Hannah. But whatever it is, it can't faze me. Or I don't even know what he's saying, but he's like screaming at it, like standing over him, screaming at him. It was awesome. And what else happened? Oh, Tyler. So apparently Tyler has like this weird fear of horses because he had a pony party when he was a kid or something. Some childhood trauma with horses. And there's no way that the show didn't know that. Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of planning, some sort of staging behind it. Because, like, okay, nobody else this entire season has ridden horses. So we're going to make the guy that has a childhood trauma or fear of horses ride a horse through the Netherlands. Like, they're in, I forgot what city it is. But they're these giant Clydesdale horses, like the ones that you see in the Budweiser commercials. And this dude's like shitting his pants on the horse. And then so they're trotting around and like they don't have a guide. They don't have like somebody to direct the horses or anything. So it's just them trotting around and their horses are going in opposite directions. They're walking backwards. It's a complete shit show. And you can just tell like the date's not going well. And then they go up to like the stand to get pickled herring, which is like a Dutch traditional food. And so she takes a bite out of it. She's like, oh, it's actually not that bad. Scarfs it down. And then so he takes a bite out of it. And he gags on it and then spits it out on the plate. And he's like about to throw up. And she's like, you need to man up. And then he just like looks and then it cuts away. And I was like, oh shit. And then they're like sitting on a park bench and stuff. And then he like talks about his fear of horses or whatever and how nervous he was. And she's like trying to get him to open up. She's like, how you feeling? What's going on? She's like keeps nagging at him to like keep going. And well, I'm going to do the camera. I'm just going to be on this so I don't forget. So she keeps trying to like pull shit out of him, like about his emotions, trying to get him to open up about his feelings. And the dude's just not cracking. He's just like, wall. And you can tell she's so blatantly trying to get it out of him. And then he just like doesn't really say anything, and you can tell she's like aggravated by it, kind of pissed off by it. And then um, they have like a dinner later that night, and then he eventually opens up, and then she's like, "That's exactly what I wanted." What the fuck was that accent? That was like that was half English, half Southern accent. Let me try that again. She's like, "That's exactly what I want." Dude, I'm doing it again. Why can't I do a Southern accent? Hey, darling. That's exactly what. It's the what. The word what goes English for me. It's exactly what I wanted from you. I don't know why I can't do a Southern accent right now. But she's like, that's exactly what I wanted. Um, like, thank you for opening up. I know that was hard for you. And he gives him the rose. So he's chilling. And then she like the guys get the note for who's going to be on the group date, and this guy named Connor is going to be on the group date. And I guess he was supposed to have a one-on-one like earlier in the season, but it got canceled because she got sick or something, and he never got a redemption or something like that. I don't really know the backstory, but he's all pissed because he has to go on the group date and he doesn't get the one-on-one in the Netherlands. And then so he starts throwing a hissy fit, and he like leaves the room, and he's sitting in the hallway like on the stairs, leaning up against the railing, all pissed off, and like the guys are checking on him. And there's some cool ass dudes on the show. Like pretty much everybody except for Luke is like they're cool. They're cool guys. So they're going and checking on him, seeing if he's okay. And then, um, and then he decides to like wander off, and he goes to Hannah's room, and he like goes to talk to her, try to like get one up on the guys before the group date. And then she sends his ass home. He was like trying to express his emotions, but it was like too little too late. And then she's saying how her feelings for other guys are stronger. And then so he just leaves, like doesn't even say bye to the guys or anything, just goes out in the van, gone. So that totally backfired on him. So then so another guy's dropped, and then she goes on the one-on-one with Mike. He's the only remaining black dude on the show, and he's probably my favorite. He's like the coolest guy ever. Super nice, super cool. And they go on this one-on-one, and they're like riding bikes, and there's this one cutaway where it shows like Hannah riding up, and she's gonna park her bike, but she's got speed wobbles even though she's going like 3 miles per hour. It looks like she can't ride a bike, and she like pulls in, she's like, oh shit. She parks her bike, and then they go into like this art thing, and they have some Dutch lady like that draws them and paints them. And it was whatever. It was kind of cool. He's buff as shit though. And then she's like smacking his ass. It was weird. But and then later they go to another art thing, and it shows her like before the show or before the date. She's like wandering around the museum. It's like all these dramatic long shots of her just like walking around. And it's like it felt like an attempt to make her look studious or something. And it was just I was cracking up because there's just these long dramatic shots of like it'll be like a painting, and then you like see her heels walk by. It's like and then there's this one shot there's this one shot of her staring at like this one painting, and she's crying staring at this painting. And then so it goes on her face, and then it goes on a super close up of like this old German or Dutch king or something. It's just like just his face, but it's like a close up on the picture on the painting. And so it like goes back and forth, so it shows her crying, and then it shows the guy like he's staring at her, and then it shows her crying again. And it was the funniest sequence of like cuts and stuff, and I was cracking up, and it was so dramatic for no reason. And then so Mike gets there, and he comes in like this all glass elevator, super dope. And she's like already crying, and he knows that something's wrong, you can tell. And then so she's talking to him, And then she pretty much just like breaks up with him. And he was like super, super cool about it. And then I heard there's like theories and shit that he's going to be the next Bachelor. And I was planning like after this, done with the Bachelorette. But if he's the next Bachelor, I got to watch it because he's fucking dope. But that was disappointing that he went home. And then they went on this group date. So it's like Peter, who's like the cool pilot dude, Garrett, who's a pro golfer, and then Luke, who's the psychopath. And then the whole time Luke's like, oh, another one down. Like, doesn't that make you guys happy? This is a game and stuff. Like, no, he's a cool ass dude. And then they go on this group date, and Luke's just like staring these guys down. Like, all week I was like, dude, Luke's gonna kill somebody on like this week's episode. Like, we're gonna see a broadcasted murder because he's a straight psychopath. And so like the whole date, Garrett's just like taunting him, and Luke like snaps on him and he's screaming at him. And Hannah's like out with Peter or whatever. And Luke's like yelling at him and drops like baloney on him. And Garrett's just taunting him. And then they end up, so Peter gets the rose from that group date. And then so now they have to have dinner, Garrett, Luke, and Hannah. And then like everybody's super confident that Garrett's gonna get the rose. Even he's super confident because Luke like snapped. And then so she takes like each one out to have like a little conversation. And Luke shares like about his faith. He's like super religious dude. He's one of those like religious dudes where it's like overbearingly religious, and you're like, okay, he's a psychopath, and like the religion's a cover up. And so he tells his story of his faith or something, and you can see that Hannah like likes it or whatever because she's Christian also. And then so Luke tells her about his faith, and then Garrett comes in and has like a super cool conversation. And he's like one of the only ones that said that he loves her and stuff. And you're like, okay, Garrett's getting the rose. And then she gives the fucking rose to Luke. And I was so pissed. I was like, I don't even want to watch next week's episode because this is so drawn out and played out. Like, there's no way that she actually likes Luke because he's a straight psychopath. And I mean, maybe there's a way because maybe he's pulling like some Ted Bundy shit. He's just super charismatic. But dude, I have no idea how he got the rose. It has to be for ratings. There's no other way. It's bullshit. So I guess we'll have to see. They showed like a preview of next week, and there's like a storm happening or something, and she's like yelling at Luke, and he's yelling at her because she's not a virgin or something. And it was just like, he was telling her how he was chasing sex and then he found the Lord. And then he's like, well, if you've had sex with one of these guys, I'm out. And then she's like, well, I have had sex. And then they're like yelling at each other in the rain. I was like, okay, maybe I do gotta watch next week's episode because that shit looks juicy. So that's the Bachelor recap. When I was at the gym earlier, I was on Instagram. I don't go to the gym to work out. I go to the gym to go on social media. And it said something like, I think it was something about the U.S. women's national team for the World Cup. We just made it to finals, which is dope. And man, Alex Morgan is a dime. She's a dime piece. I think that's her name. I don't even know her name. I'm talking about how she's a dime. But I'm going to Google it just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure she scored like a goal or something today. Yeah, she did. She scored a goal today. And she like sipped tea like this because they're versing England or something. I don't know the full backstory. But it was a baller move. Yeah. Alex Morgan's a dime. But I was going through Instagram and it said something about like circa 2003. And I just thought about how much I hate when people say the word circa, because until probably like 6 months ago, I had no idea what it meant. I always thought it was like racing games, like when I played like Forza or something. It was like Circa or something, and it'd be like a map. It'd be like a racing map, and I was like, okay, Circa has to do something with racing. And then I had this one professor, and he'd be like, Circa 1994 or whatever. And then I was like, dude, like, what the fuck does this mean? And then so I realized that saying circa is just saying like around the time of, or like at the time of. So if you, like, I was reading this thing and it said circa 2003. So it means it happened in 2003. But when you say circa, you sound like the biggest pretentious asshole ever. I don't know. It gets on my nerves when people say circa, because why you got to use that word? It just makes you sound like a prick. And I don't know why I get so upset about it. But when my professor would be like, "Oh yeah, the so and so movements occurred circa 2000." I'm like, okay, so it's why don't you just say it started around the year 2000? You don't gotta say circa. That's a waste of thought, because then you have to be like, what does circa mean? Okay, it means around, and then you gotta go through the whole train of thought, and it's a waste of time, and you sound like a pretentious douchebag. And I'm gonna fix the camera and be right back. Ooh, I'm gonna look at the settings after this, dude, but I just need to knock this out. I just got back from the gym, and I was like, I gotta film this podcast because I got other shit to do today, and I can't film it tomorrow because I have to work. And then I'm picking up my brother's girlfriend from the airport, so I can't film it tomorrow. So I was like, I gotta knock this out. It's probably gonna be a shorter episode. We're almost at 30 minutes already, which is crazy. But what time did I start the camera? I'll come back and. So I figured out it shoots in 10-minute increments. So I gotta look at the settings. I haven't taken the chance to. I haven't taken the time to figure it out. I'm sure I can change the settings somehow. But I figured out that's 10 minutes. So for this episode, every like 9 minutes, I'll go over, stop the camera, and start again. And I might get lost in my thoughts. I think I just did. I think I probably missed like a minute or two. But when we were going to Joshua Tree this weekend, we were like 10 minutes into our car ride. And Sahil's like, I listened to this business podcast. Do you guys want to listen to it? And then our buddy Connor's like, yeah, dude, like, let's listen to it. And I was like, man, I don't want to listen to it. But I was like, okay, you guys can play it. And then, so I was in control on Sahil's phone. And he has a nice ass phone. He has the iPhone XR, which is nicer than my phone. But his case, he has like just a small, thin little bumper case around the end, but it's all broken. And then he has a screen protector that's all chipped away. So it feels like you're using like an iPhone 2, but it's an iPhone XR. So I'm in control of the podcast, and I find it. And it's like a 7-part, it's called Business News or something like that. Business Wars or Business News or something. And so I find it, and we listen to like Nike versus Adidas. And it actually ended up being like really interesting. It was like a 7-episode series or something, like 20 minutes each episode. And it was super interesting. It like gave like a whole history of like Nike and Adidas and coming to power and all this shit. And I only made it to maybe halfway through episode 2 before I fell asleep in the car. It was pretty much like I got to the point of Adidas history where it was like these 2 German brothers that made Adidas ended up becoming Nazis. So it was like Adidas is a Nazi-made company or something. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? That was like the last thing I remember. And I fell asleep, and I woke up like almost an hour later or something. So I missed all of it. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother catching up. And then we stopped and got coffee. And then we just listened to music and shit. But when I was using Sahil's phone, He, speak of the devil, he's calling me right now. I'm going to answer it. Hello? Hey, what's up? I'm recording the podcast. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm like almost 30 minutes in right now, so probably like give me like another 15 minutes. But I was just talking about the podcast we were listening to on the way to Joshua Tree. And I was roasting you on your phone. Yeah, about your screen protector and your case and shit. Okay. You can start setting stuff up. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Gotcha. I'm gonna put you on speaker so it's not as boring. Um, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't even know that you could do that. It's not gonna blow away on the hill.
No, so if we put like a launcher or something down, like not like set it up, just like lay it down while it's not. I don't know how you would say.
Yeah, and nobody will take it
Or
then.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, then it should be fine. And like I already have, we have like a really old like hammock sheet
Mm-hmm.
that's like ripped and shit. So we're literally gonna take that and just plop that down just to save some space, and then like the actual day we'll probably bring like sleeping bags or something just to lay down.
Gotcha. So people are already setting up 2 days before?
Yeah, dude, people have been setting up since like beginning of this week.
Oh shit.
On Stearns, you know where when you're turning headed to the freeway and it kind of there's like literally on Stearns one side is the park, the other side is like the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
That row is full completely.
Gotcha.
And then there's like the space right in front of my neighborhood near the Metrolink station that's already covered up too. So
Gotcha.
my worry is that everyone's gonna cover up the hill, and then there's not gonna be any fucking room for us.
Nice. Yeah. So you and Connor will go set that up, and then yeah, I'll just call you after the podcast and see if you guys need help.
All right, yeah, you said like probably in like 20.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, that's perfect. I'll let him know, and then you guys can come over, and then we'll all go up there.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you then.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna have to edit a bunch of that out because he's gonna dox us. He just said a bunch of street names and locations, but I think for the 4th of July he has like a big hill by his house, and at like our local rec center they do a bunch of fireworks. So I think we're just gonna sit up. He lives like right by the rec center, so we're gonna just sit up on the hill and watch fireworks, which will be pretty cool. But I guess people are already setting up like beginning of this week for the 4th on the hill. They're already putting shit up, which is weird. I don't know. I guess it's a big deal, but so yeah, what I was gonna say about his phone is, so I was in control of it, and his phone, I don't know if it's like on low power mode or what, but he hold that thought. So I don't know if it was on low power mode or what, but it would just like lock every like minute and a half or 2 minutes or whatever. And his passcode is so long. He has like one of the 6-digit passcodes or whatever. And like it's not even like a pattern, so it's easy to remember or anything. It's like an intricate passcode. And so it would lock, and then he'd be like, "Oh, you can skip 15 seconds ahead or whatever. Or, oh, can you look this up for the directions or something?" And I'd go to open his phone and be like, "Oh, what's your password?" And then he'd say it to me, and I put it in, and then like 2 minutes later, "Oh, can you look this up?" And I'm like, "Yeah. What's your password?" I asked him for his password like maybe 5, 6 times, And I can normally remember shit pretty easily. I have a good memory. I could not remember it for the life of me, so I ended up writing it down in my phone. So I could remember and had to stop asking him. But then I just gave it to Connor because I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to go sleep. I was listening to Theo Vaughn's podcast with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, and like the actual Wolf of Wall Street guy. And they were talking about like the evolution of sports or something. I don't know. I was listening to it in bed and was falling asleep. But they're talking about like what's the next level of sports. And I was like, that's crazy because I've been thinking about this for years. For years, I've been saying to make base. So I played baseball like one season when I was like 8 or something like that. But I was like, baseball is difficult like at the high levels, but like it's boring to watch, you know? And I was like, to make it more interesting, what they should do is they should put trees in the outfield, like big ass trees of the outfield of the baseball field. So if somebody hits it into the outfield, it can like bank off of a tree or like change directions or something, maybe even get caught up in there or something. That way the outfielders have to be more skilled. And then to make it harder for the runner, they should change the dirt that they run on, make it like really deep soft sand or something, so you have to like trudge through it. Or they should make it like really thick water or like syrup. They should make it like maple syrup or something, and they gotta swim through it, and it's just like all sticky. No, they should. I like the sand idea because then you don't have to get all wet and stuff. But if it's like thick sand and it's really hard to run on, that way like the outfielders have to do more, and then the batters have to do more. So it's not as boring, because I feel like baseball games take forever, and there's like, if you're not in the stadium, they're not fun to watch. But who knows? Maybe it's just because I'm not super into baseball. My bosses at work are huge into baseball, and they are like, oh, baseball's boring unless you're like there. But the Angels pitcher just passed away, I think yesterday, which is super sad. I haven't heard what happened. I don't know if they know what happened. They said something happened in his sleep, and super sad, super unfortunate. I don't watch baseball, don't watch the Angels or anything, but that's still super sad. Yeah, I didn't mean to get all dark and depressing. But going back to Instagram, I was talking about the circus stuff and Instagram at the gym. Instagram comedy videos are the worst thing I've ever seen. And like, I follow like a bunch of meme accounts and stuff, and like the ones that like repost shitty ass comedy videos, I've yet to see a funny Instagram comedy video. They're all the worst scripting. They all have that dramatic like poof, like I don't even know what it is. Like it's not a horn. But if you've seen any shitty Instagram video ever, it always has like the boom. Like the boyfriend will be watching anime, and the girlfriend will walk in and is like, boo. And I'm like, no, babe, it's not what it looks like. And then the caption, they always have those thick ass bars on the top. And it says like, when your girlfriend catches you watching anime or something, with like laughing emojis and then fire emojis. It's like, what? That's not even funny. Maybe if it was like anime porn or something, like some weird ass shit, maybe it would be funny. And if you showed it, that'd be maybe funny. But it's just like, they take the most basic ideas and then they add a sound effect, and then they put the caption with the laughing emojis and expect people to laugh at them. And they're the most shitty most not funny videos I've ever seen in my life. They have no comedic value, and they get it. The part that bugs me the most is that they get like 400,000 likes on them. These people are getting paid cash money for making shitty Instagram videos. And another thing that pisses me off about Instagram, I'm just gonna go off on Instagram. I guess it's not Instagram in particular, it's just people. But it's when I see this mostly on Instagram is when people spell apart and apart. Like if they say, I'm so lucky to be a part of this. When you're saying that, it's A space PART. Like I was a part of this. But even celebrities do this. And I'm like, don't you have a PR person that like proofreads this? Don't you proofread this? They're always like, I'm so lucky to have been a part of this, but they spell it APART with no space in between the A and the P. And in that space, that makes those two words antonyms. They have opposite meanings. So when it's a part, then you're actually part of something. But if it's a part, then you weren't involved with it. So it's like people are like, I was so lucky to have been a part of this, but they spell it without the space, and then it means that they weren't in it. But they're trying to say that they were in it, but they weren't in it. And it doesn't make any sense. And it pisses me off. If it's like a really cool... Dude, if somebody wins like the Super Bowl and they're like, I'm so lucky to have been a part of the Patriots or whatever, but they spell it without the space, and it's the coolest picture I've ever seen, not going to like it. You know why? Because you can't spell. And you said that you were a part of it, so it means that you weren't involved. But if you were a part of it, I'd be like, oh, cool. He was a part of this. So I'm going to like it. But man, when people can't spell, or like your, oh man, how? How do you misspell your? Like, you learned that in like first grade. It doesn't, oh man, doesn't make any sense to me. You are, your, or there. Oh, there and than. Those are the easiest words to spell. Than and then. I remember I used to have this one friend, and she would always text then when she was meaning to say than. She's like, oh, I'd rather do this than that. And it's like, wait, so you want to do both of them? You want to do this one and then that one? And she's like, no. I'd rather do this instead of that. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. When you can't spell, and it's like we went to the same school, we had the same education. Man, when you can't spell, don't even spell at me. You know? Don't even try to spell at me, because I won't like it. If you're gonna spell at me, spell it right, so I know what you're talking about. Because as soon as it's all spelled wrong and it goes out the window, I don't even want to listen. But some people, if they catch it and they correct it, cool. I'm gonna check the camera. Nice, dude. I caught it this time. I caught it before it stopped. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's growth. That's the growth right there. But yeah, no, if somebody's like saying something and it's all spelled wrong, dude, quote pages do that all the time. Quote pages kill me. It'll be like a nice, cool, inspirational quote, but it'll have the wrong there or than or your. And I'm not going to like it. Not even going to take your advice. I could say the coolest thing ever, but if it's spelled wrong, I don't care anymore. To be quite honest, I don't care anymore. But, so that's my rant on that. I feel like I was kind of harsh. But when people correct it, it's cool. Like, I think it's funny. You know what I find? What I find funny? Do you know what I think is funny? Is when people purposely spell things wrong as like a pun. Or like if you accidentally spell something wrong and then you correct yourself and then they spell it wrong in return. I think that's funny. But who knows? I might have a shitty sense of humor. Speaking of shitty sense of humor, I found out that the inventor of the Segway passed away while riding on a Segway. And I thought it was the funniest shit I had ever heard in my life. Well, okay, so people dying is never funny. Just going to put that out there. People dying is never funny. But the irony behind the inventor of Segway riding his own creation and then dying while riding it is pretty funny. It's kind of beautiful, actually. Because it's like he created his own way out. It's kind of poetic in a sense. But when I heard this, so I was telling my coworker, and I Googled it just to like get the facts, and apparently he rode a Segway off of a cliff into a river. And if you've ever seen, like if you are like traveling somewhere and you see a group of people on a Segway, the least cool people you've ever seen in your life. You cannot look cool riding a Segway because they're not cool. I've never ridden one, and I have zero desire to ride one. But this guy apparently was riding his Segway that he invented. The creator of Segway was riding his Segway somehow near a cliff. I don't know why. That should be a red flag. If you're near a cliff, don't ride a Segway. That's like riding a hoverboard on the side of a cliff. Dude, I stood on a hoverboard once. The scariest 5 seconds of my life. Because I almost died. I stood on it, my legs went back and forth so quickly, and I had zero control over my body. I jumped off and I almost died in the middle of the street. Like if I flew back, instant concussion probably would have cracked my head open. Those things suck. But a Segway is just a hoverboard on steroids with a handlebar. And apparently the inventor of it thought it was a good idea to drive it near a cliff, and he flew off of that cliff into a river and died. So, I don't know. That's like inventing Frankenstein and being surprised that Frankenstein killed you. Not surprised. Come on, guy. That's all I gotta say about that. Oh, dude, my parents, they have, they use this app called Flipboard. I don't know. I don't really know what it is. It's like a Yahoo homepage type of thing, but I guess it's like more meme friendly. It's like a mix between Yahoo and iFunny is what I feel like would describe it as. And, the other night, my mom was like flipping through Flipboard, and she came across something that said something about like a menstrual cup, which is like, I guess it's part of like the anti-tampon movement or something like that. But it's literally a cup, like a small bowl that you put in your pants instead of like using a pad or a tampon. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And then what do? Pour it down the sink? Water your plants with it? Just imagine how uncomfortable, like, I understand, like, it's not even like shaped like a sports cup. Like it could like be under there. It's shaped like a straight up just plastic circle that's probably 3 inches deep. And it just sits between your legs. And then you got to dump it out somewhere. You put it in the dishwasher afterwards. Imagine you're like, oh my God. Imagine if you got a girlfriend or something and you're living together, and she's like, oh babe, have you seen my menstrual cup? And you're like, oh yeah, it's in the dishwasher. She's like, shit, that was the last one. I was going to reuse that one. And why'd you put it in the dishwasher? And you're, oh, well, my bad. No, I got to wait for it to dry. She's like, you knew that this was my week. Why would you do that? And then you're just in trouble because you accidentally put her menstrual cup in the dishwasher. Man, what? If you buy a menstrual cup, you're crazy. If you buy a menstrual cup, you're crazy. Okay, well, I shouldn't say that because maybe you got like a medical issue. You can't use tampon or pads or something. But if you do it just for fun, psychopath. Straight psychopath. Where are we at? 45 minutes. That's not bad. I think I'm going to do a little bit shorter episode this time. Not go the full hour. But I don't know. We'll see. The other night, I was eating a grape. I was eating grapes. We had a bowl of grapes in my kitchen. And I was eating grapes. And I ate one, and it straight up tasted like I took a bite out of an incense stick. Like, you know, the little fume sticks that you light on fire. Incense. You know what incense is. And I took a bite of a grape, and it tasted like I bit an incense. And I was like, oh. And I thought like instantly I thought I was gonna like walk into the bathroom and look in the mirror. And I was gonna have like a septum piercing, and I was gonna be wearing all black, and really tight black jeans with boots, and then like a black button up or black t-shirt or something. Have rings, not like one or two rings, like have my fingers covered in rings, and then like a bead bracelet. I'd have a bead bracelet on one hand, and then a woven bracelet like out of leather on the other hand, and then I would have gauges, and my hair would be dyed black or something, because that's how I feel. If you've ever smelled somebody that smells like incense, instance. Have you ever smelled somebody that smells like an instant? That's what they look like. I remember there's this one guy that I knew. Dude, now that I think about it, every person that I've met that reeks of incense, I don't like the word reeks because it has like a negative connotation to it, that smells strongly of incense. I particularly don't really like the smell of incense, but every person that I've met that smells strongly of incense has that look to them, and they listen to Lamb of God. And I feel like those people, their music taste is either like Lamb of God or Nirvana. And it's just like polar opposites, but somehow on the same spectrum. And yeah, when I ate that grape, I thought I was going to go to the mirror and I was going to have a Slipknot logo tee, really tight black jeans with the knees torn out, and then maybe like some boots, maybe steel-toed. If I ate two grapes, it'd be steel-toed. And I'd have a couple rings on, septum piercing, and some gauges. And nothing against those people. Every person that I've met that looks like that is the nicest person. They just look kind of scary. But I guess that's a message to myself, not to judge people, because everybody that I've met that looks like that is the nicest person I've ever met. They just look a little bit scary and they listen to scary music. But that's okay. Beautiful people, and we love them. I think I might end it on that note. We're just about 50 minutes. Man, if you listen this far, if you listen to any of the podcasts, thank you so much. We're just out here having a good time, talking about random things, and living life. So thank you so much. Be kind to yourselves, and have a great rest of your week. See you next time.